The Google Pixel 6 was a huge turning point for Google. It was a complete shift in the design language. The internals were to redefine what the Pixel experience was, and were Google going to keep all their loyal fans happy? In this video, we're going to take a look at the life and times of the Google Pixel 6, the phone that I'm still using today, and we're going to ask the questions: can you still reliably use this in 2024? Should you buy this phone? And should I think about upgrading? If you love Google Pixels as much as I do, then become a Pixel pal and hit that subscribe button for more Pixel videos. Even way before the Google Pixel 6 was announced, we knew pretty much everything there was to know about this phone. The design, the price, the new chip. But that last part, the new chip, we knew Google had been cooking up their own chip for a while now, and it was finally here. You couldn't just look at the leaks and know what the new chip was going to be like. You had to wait to get the phone in your hand. It added a new level of excitement that we hadn't seen for a few years with the Pixel phones. You could buy a Google Pixel 4 on the black market before Google even announced it. The 4a or the Google Pixel 5 didn't really have a top-of-the-line design or a top-of-the-line chip. You could tell that people were genuinely excited for this phone. I was excited for this phone. Google re-entering the flagship market in style. The day finally came, the 28th of October 2021. Rick walked through the New York Google store and announced the Google Pixel 6 and Google Tensor. I don't think they called it the G1 at the time, but they've had the G2 and the G3 since then in the Pixel 8 line. Anyway, I couldn't wait to try it out. I had expectations in line with the top Snapdragon chips at the time, but in reality I had no idea what to expect. Let's dive into what we really got with the Google Pixel 6. We've touched on this a little bit, but this was Google's first attempt at a flagship phone since the Google Pixel 4 line. They couldn't afford to make the same mistakes again. They priced this phone here, the Google Pixel 6, at £599. and the Pixel 6 Pro at $849, targeting the top of the line phones with the Pro model and making the Pixel 6 a real top-end mid-range competitor. In comparison, the Pixel 6 was £150 cheaper than the Samsung S21, and the Pixel 6 Pro came in at £300 cheaper than the Samsung Ultra model. Admittedly, this wasn't a directly fair comparison, but you can see where Google was going with this. You can definitely see how they were trying to position themselves. Could they offer something compelling enough at a great price to convince people to switch to the Google Pixel? Especially when the Google Pixel was still finding its feet. And this is just anecdotal, but this is about the time that I started to see a lot of these out in the real world. Normal everyday customers were choosing Pixels, but that could have been for another reason. Let's talk about the new design. Now, it's becoming a bit of a running joke that I never like Pixel phone designs and then they grow on me as the years go on. But that's not true. I like the first Pixel design, I like the Pixel 2 XL design a lot, and I didn't not like the Pixel 5. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this camera bar design, and I'm not sure I still am. Let me tell you what I do like about it though. I like that it's distinct. You can spot a Pixel from miles away now. It's really Pixel branded, so when you see a camera bar you think, that's a Pixel. I guess my favourite thing about this camera bar is that it gives Google a lot of space to play with without making it too much bigger. You can just upgrade the cameras, add sensors, and you don't have to mess with the camera bar. You've got a lot of space to play with. You can just fit it all in. The glossy back does attract fingerprints, but that doesn't really bother me. 90% of people are just going to slap a case on this thing anyway, which I did do in a recent video. The Pixel 6 did come in 3 colours: Kinda Coral, Seafoam Green, and Stormy Black. I do wish I'd picked up that coral one. I think this new design came from the idea that everybody knows that Pixels have got the best cameras. Now, how do we draw as much attention as possible to the cameras? And all the marketing is going to be, hey, look what these cameras can do. And then when a normal person sees this phone, they're going to say, I want that phone, the one with the good cameras. And as simple as it sounds, I think it worked. But if Google were going to make such a big fuss over the cameras, surely they had to give us an upgrade. And spoiler, they did. On the back, we got a new dual camera partnership with a 50 megapixel wide angle lens and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. The camera setup has remained pretty much unchanged since the Pixel 2 line, with a heavy reliance on computational photography. That wasn't a bad thing because we all know Google Pixels have been the king of smartphone photography for years. But the time was right to push the hardware a little bit further and see what we can really get out of these cameras. Hopefully these pictures I've taken do the cameras justice because they are truly great cameras. The selfie camera is an 8 megapixel wide camera, great for group selfies or getting yourself in a picture with some lovely scenery. The video on the back camera can go from 1080p 30 frames per second all the way up to 4K 60, which is great to see. And the front camera can do 1080p 30 frames a second. Perfectly fine for filming TikToks and Reels if that's the kind of thing that you're into. The screen here is a 6.4 inch 90Hz AMOLED display. Now that's a big phone, especially coming from a Pixel 5, it definitely took some getting used to. It has Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, but as Zach from Jerry Rig Everything would say, glass is glass and glass breaks, and I managed to get a really deep scratch in mine. Moral of the story, don't risk it, get a screen protector. A little more about the phone itself. It has stereo speakers, there's a little cutout at the top and then bottom firing speakers as well. It doesn't have a headphone jack, but it does have a USB Type-C port on the bottom. You can use wired headphones if you have the adapter, or just get a pair of USB-C headphones. Yes, this phone does support wireless charging up to a speed of 21 watts, and it has an under-the-screen fingerprint scanner which tries to blind you every time you unlock your phone at night. We're packing a 4600 mAh battery here. And previously I've said that this doesn't get me through the day, but this year so far, I've been pleasantly surprised. The Pixel 6 battery life has been easily getting me through the day, and I'll just put it on charge before I go to bed. The thing you should be most concerned about when picking up an older phone is when do the updates stop? Well, this phone topped out at Android 14 and it's handling it really well. It still runs super snappy like you'd expect a Pixel to do. But more importantly, you'll be receiving security updates until October 2026. So that brings me back to my original question. Can you still reliably use this phone in 2024? And I think yes, absolutely, and you'll have a great time doing so as well. And should I think about upgrading? You know what, I think I'm going to stick with this just for a little bit longer. If Qi 2 comes to the Pixel 9, then maybe I could be swayed. But what I think is likely going to happen is I'll probably keep this phone until it stops getting security updates. That's the beauty of using a phone that runs so close to stock Android. You can just reliably use it for a long time and know that it's going to stay smooth. The Pixel 6 is my phone that I'm using daily, and I recently picked up a case. That video's on screen now. I'll see you over there.